Hey, Django, you hear me, right? Hello, everyone. This is Willie Ramirez from DuWest Caribbean. I am um, um, the technical and commercial representative for DuWest Caribbean and the Caribbean, of course. And thank you very much for joining me today in HNL Agro live on the web page, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Um, Before I start my presentation, I want to honor all the growers, farmers, and gardeners who has been in the front line despite of the pandemic through the coronavirus COVID-19. And I want to say thank you for being there and basically producing the food that we are eating. Um, Before I start my presentation, I want to show also a very quick video before. Stay tuned all the presentation, because at the end of this presentation, there's going to be a giveaway. The person who answered the question that we're going to ask at the end of the presentation will be awarded with a giveaway of a couple of products that we have as a solid feed, liquid feed, and other products in the package. Okay, so I want to share this a piece of the video that we take of a farmer in the Dominican Republic, and I hope you like the video. After the presentation, the video is going to be played entirely on the Facebook page. So please enjoy the video, and I'll be back.
A la planta contra plagas y enfermedades en cuestión de en tiempo de seca, que más o menos en nuestra zona la manejamos desde diciembre hasta junio, y es una época muy fuerte. Nos ha dado buenos resultados con los productos convencionales. Andábamos en unos rendimientos de máximos de 12.000 kilos en época caliente, y en época de lluvia estábamos llegando a 18.000 kilos. Después que comenzamos con Solufid, en tiempos de seca hemos logrado un promedio entre 17 y 18.000 kilos por hectárea. En tiempos de lluvia hemos llegado a hectáreas hasta 32.000 kilos por hectárea, promediando en 27.000 kilos por hectárea.
We just showed like 1 minute of the video that we took from Gustavo, and Gustavo was mentioning that the production that he was getting from the Solo Feed program, and that's basically the main point of this presentation, is to talk about basically a basic steps of the nutrition, the plant nutrition, but also to talk about what I think is the finest nutrition program in the market today. So he will mention in the video, as you can see in the title video later, 3 of the line that we have as a nutritional in DuWest Caribbean in the agricultural line. And we're gonna talk about the application to the soil, which is basically a Solo Feed. That's the name of the brand. That we have 5 different products, perfectly designed for every stage of the crop during the cycle completely. And then we're going to talk about the foliar application product, which is multi-feed, and also liquid feed, which is basically the suspension concentrate to a specific crops and a specific nutrients. Okay, so what many farmers probably don't know, what is the difference between fertilization and what we call a holistic nutrition. So to make basically a very short definition of these 2 terminologies, I want to point out that fertilization is basically when we apply to the soil the elements that the soil needs according to the plant's requirement. So when we do so, what basically doing is making the soil more fertile, if we can say that. In the other hand, the holistic nutrition, which is basically what we want to talk about today, is when the plant absorbs and uses the nutrients to optimize its production. And when we do this holistic nutrition, then we say that we are making the plant more productive. So keep these 2 terminologies in mind, because what we're going to talk is basically about what a holistic nutrition is today. And of course, the holistic nutrition objectives are 3. And I want to just do a very quick definition of these 3 elements that I think basically define what is a holistic nutrition. And the first one is productivity. If we are going to define this as it is, we're just going to say that this is the rate of production in with the production factors, which basically means, if we can make a summary of this terminology, is basically getting what we expecting from what we produce. And the second terminology is profitability, which is a very easy term to define. And basically, this is the resources that we have, that the product that we're going to get from our crops is going to be any kind of a revenue of the production. So it has to be profitable, because the activity that we do, that's basically the objective at the end of the day. And the third terminology is sustainability, which is basically with the resources that we have, we need to produce in some way that this doesn't compromise the ability to produce for future generations. So it's basically keeping the production, the business in balance for a longer period of time. So, and then at this presentation, we're gonna ask and answer 4 questions in the integral nutrition. And the first question is, which element or elements limit the production? So before I start talking about which elements limit the production, I know that many farmers basically just go with recommendation from agri shops and sometimes some agronomists saying, okay, the crop that you are planting is just need 90 kilograms or 90 pounds or 150 pounds of nitrogen, 250 pounds of phosphorus, and 500 pounds of potassium. But this is not the whole story. So basically, what we're gonna present is the essential elements of that the plants need to have a fully what I call genetic expression. So we're gonna mention the 13 essential mineral nutrients that the plants need to fully express what we call, as I said before, the full expression of a genetic context. So, and I'm not counting the carbon and hydrogen and oxygen, because that the plant get from the air and the water, and also they are not considered as a mineral nutrients. And if you can see in this picture, under this plant, there are boxes with nutrients. I'm talking about nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur. As you can see, the side of the box, it makes sense of how much of the plants will need to produce. And in the bottom line is the minor element, which is iron, zinc, copper, boron, manganese, molybdenum, and chloride. So what we're going to talk about today is what, in this particular slide, is that the element that the plant show in less will basically limit the other elements. So we're going to see the law of the minimum. And basically the law of the minimum, what this law says that the minimum, limited element will jeopardize the rest of the nutrients in what I call, if we can say that, in your basket. In this case, for example, the potassium is limiting the calcium, the magnesium, the nitrogen, phosphorus, and other elements. So in terms to fully understand why it's important to have all nutrients balanced in our nutritional program, this is a really clear picture of how we should understand. But also, not only but because this is important to have 100% production in our plants, but also because the elements have a relationship between them. Some of them have a symbiotic relationship, and to make available a specific element in the nutrition and the soil diluted soil in the water. Okay, and that comes the second question to ask and answer, which is how much of the nutrients should be applied. And this is a question I'm pretty sure many farmers, when they go to agronomist or a specialist or extensionist or even at agri shops, they ask, okay, and I have this tomato crop, so how much do I need to put of nitrogen? How much do I need to put of phosphorus, potassium, and other elements? And sometimes the answers are not quite the right answer. And that is because we manage, many people manage like the nutritional requirement for crops. And as you can see in this picture, there is kind of a definition of what the plants will need to fully produce. Let's take, for example, a fresh tomato. Fresh tomato says, in order to produce 36 tons per acre, you will need to put 350 kilograms per hectare of nitrogen, 80 kilograms per hectare of phosphorus, and 500 kilograms per hectare of potassium. And let me tell you something. This is a really good piece of information, but this is not the whole story of what you really need to do and add to your plant. The whole story basically will be said by the soil analysis. And this is a very important information that every farmer should get before they start doing a nutritional program in their crop, because it generates important information for the nutrition program, which is key to identify excess deficiencies of different nutrients in your soil. As you can see, if we can say, okay, let's do like a mathematical equation of fertilization, then we'll say the fertilizers equal to the requirement less the supplement plus the losses. And the losses, you know, as volatilization, lixiviation, fixation, and runoff. And you have to take this in consideration to really set up a balanced nutrition program in your farm. So be aware and be focused that nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium is not the whole story. There are more to add to our plants, and according to this stage. So, and that brings me to the next question, which is during which stage should these nutrients be applied? And that's a really good question. And this question is so important because, okay, let's take this an example. Guys, if you understand what I'm saying, I mean, just raise your hands. I mean, if you see that I'm going too fast, you can, text me in the chat. Well, you're going too fast. You can slow down a little bit. And I know that my English is perfect, so just let me know if I'm doing too fast. Okay. Anyway, so this is a really good question because, as I said before, when you have a child and it is like a 3 months old, just a newborn child, you don't feed that child with, how can I say, like a hard food. You feed with liquids because that's what the child needs at the moment. It's the same with the plant. So plants will need a different type of nutrient and also different amounts of each nutrient in different stage of the plant. So take this in, keep this in mind because we're going to talk about which product we believe the plants will be happy to have it in the root zone to fully express their genetic production. Okay, and let's take, for example, a nutritional requirement of peppers. In this picture, you will see that from the beginning, after transplanting, I would say like the first 4 weeks, as you can see in this picture, the plant was absorbing more nitrogen, and then on the 5th week, the potassium rise up, and that gives you an idea of which element we should apply to our plants in order to seek 100% production of our plant. And this basically is as an example, and it says that it took about 200 pounds of nitrogen, 60 pounds of phosphorus, and 250 pounds of potassium, 40 pounds of calcium, and 30 pounds of magnesium. So just this to give you an idea of the importance of adding or putting the right fertilizer in the different stage of your crop. Okay, and let's go to the fourth question. The first question is basically the key point of this presentation, which is how should the nutrients be applied? And the information that we are going to share with you guys today is basically looking for you to have productive and profitable activity in your farm, to look at your crop as your cash crop. Okay, and let's take a look at the micro comparison of nitrogen and molybdenum. As you can see, the relation is quite crazy, if I can say that. It's a 1 million to 1. The story of what this slide say is the molybdenum is just a very tiny, very tiny portion of the nutrition in the tomatoes, in this example, to be more specific. And this is the relationship that plays of nitrogen and molybdenum in vegetable tissue, which is basically what the role that the molybdenum plays to help the nitrogen be available and the process the chlorophyll. Okay, and let's take the so when we talk about that, then we need to look at the essential mineral elements for plants. And in this picture, you can see there is like a minor elements, primary elements, and secondary elements. We recommend that the minor elements, because the quantities and mobility on the plant should be applied foliarly. And this is because the plant sometimes just need a very tiny portion, a very tiny amount of these minor elements. I'm talking about copper, iron, manganese, molybdenum, zinc, and boron. And all of those play a very important, a key role during the metabolism and the cell elongation, cell differentiation, and that's very important to have in mind. The primary elements, as you know, the NPK, and I want to notice that NPK, as I mentioned before, NPK, the fertilization is more deepened than applying NPK. It requires the minors and the secondary element. And the secondary element, we have the calcium, the sulfur, and magnesium, who also play a really key role on the chlorophyll. Also, the plant process the energy that the plant get from the sun. Okay, let's take a look of absorption of nutrients. And I'm sorry. As you know, nutrients ion must be dissolved in the salt water in order to the plant to absorb them. And in this picture, as you can see, in this picture is showing the relationship that the roots here and even the roots are playing with the soil particle in exchanging the ions and the negative and positive charges to basically have the nutrition available to the roots. So this is the way the roots absorb the nutrient as ions form. So so let's take a look, for example, after we showed this slide, the availability of nutrition solution, and I want to put an example of a granular versus solid feed. As you can see, the relation, for example, in the nitrogen is 1 to 1.5. What does that mean? That means for every pound of kilogram or whatever you have the solid feed, you will need 1.5 kilograms of the granular. And as you can see, the percentage of availability is basically 1.5. I mean 87 percentage of the availability. So if we can see the phosphorus, which is a very interesting percentage of availability in the soil solution, the granular is just only 12. I mean, with a 13% available in the soil solution by the plant for the plant, but solid feed is 97% available in the root zone for the plant. If we can put this in terms of money, it's like if you put $100 in your soil, if we can say that, and the plant, if you put it a solid feed, they will take $97 of it. But if you put it granular, the plant's just taking $13. So you lose about like almost $87. Okay, and you can see the potassium as well is 1 to 4. It basically means 1 pound of solid feed, you will need 4 pounds of granular, and that's a key point of this fertilization program in your farm. Okay, but then this availability might be jeopardized because the methodology that we apply, and we're talking about fertirrigation and diluted fertilization. So fertirrigation is basically the combination of fertilization and irrigation. So what we are talking about here is basically application of balanced nutrition solution through pressurized irrigation system. It might be drip tape, or microspray. On the other hand, we have, if you don't have like a sophisticated irrigation system, then you can go to the other option of applying fertilization, liquid fertilization to your plant, which is basically what we call drench, which is basically application of balanced nutrition solution directly to the root zone of the plant. As you can see in this picture, is a very common methodology for many farmers. And also, if you got the opportunity to see the video after of Gustavo after the presentation on Facebook, you will see that he applies before in the first 2 weeks he applies drench plants per plant, which is another activity that we can do. Okay, and let's see the efficiency of fertilization through the fertigation. And this is really interesting. If you put a granular on the your plants, you basically are getting like 20 to 60% of the nitrogen, 10 to 40% of the phosphorus, and 30 to 70% of potassium. In the other hand, if you do it at a fertigation, you are getting 90% of nitrogen basically uptaken for the plant, and 95% of phosphorus, and even 150% of potassium, which is a very important piece of information. And that basically will make your activity profitable. But this availability or this efficiency, it might be basically limited because the pH and the EC. And let's see the pH effect on the absorption of nutrients. And as you can see in this picture, the optimum pH, and you see in the y-axis the pH number, and the x-axis you see the elements: NPK, sulfur, calcium, magnesium, iron, manganese, copper, and other. And as you can see, the red box is showing which element is more available for the plant according to the pH of the solution. And as you can see, the pH, the pH that is basically recommended to have more elements available is from 6.5, I would say very close to 7 pH. With that in mind, just think about if you have a fertilizer that will increase your pH above 7, that means that the plant will be limited in some elements, and other will be not available for the plant. So we recommend you to pay a very close attention to the pH that you manage in your solution. Okay? But also, the EC, which is the electrical conductivity, plays a really important role on the relationship between the plant and the solution in the soil. As you can see in this picture, the salinity tolerance threshold and the influence of electrical conductivity is first, it increases the osmotic pressure of the soil solution. They have a competition with nutrients absorption, and less than 0.7, it will be insufficient nutritional charge. And the other hand, more than 3 will be an excess of salt, which is will happen as osmosis, which is basically a diffusion from inside to outside. So when you see basically the tip of your plants getting dry and getting like a brownish color, that might be too much salt in your solution. And basically what is happening is the solution is taking nutrients from the roots because there is too much salt. And as you can see, I wanted to point out the bell pepper. And this 1.5 is basically, if you have a EC in the bell pepper above the 1.5, this will definitely reduce the growth and production of the pepper. I'm not saying that you're not going to have production, but will reduce the growth and the production. So take this in consideration when you apply a nutrition program to your plants, and just keep in mind that you remember the productivity, profitability, and sustainability we talked about a few minutes ago. Okay, and then let's go to the. Let's just mention. I think the time is not in our side, but we're gonna try to do a very quick explanation of what we recommend you guys to start doing in your farm in terms of plant nutrition. In the first line, we have the Solofit Nursery. Solofit Nursery was basically designed, as the name say, to the plant in the first stage of growth. As you can see, with the medium nitrogen and high phosphorus. And this is because the differentiation and cellular elongation of root cells happen in the first days of the plant to have a really good root system, because the root is the first port of entry of the nutrition to the plant. If the plant have a really good root system, then the plant have the tools to uptake the nutrition from the soil, and that's what we recommend. And this product is basically recommended to the root solution for greenhouses and recently transplanted plants. Okay. Then we go to the next stage, which is the initial development, which is the 20-30-10, and magnesium and sulfur. And the activity, physiologically talking, in this at this moment is establishing rooting. When your roots are already grow, then you need to establish the root system so the plant can hold the growth and also to uptake the nutrition from the soil solution. So, and basically this formula supply a medium nitrogen, high phosphorus, and a low potassium. And the formula contains the necessary elements for differentiation and quick cellular growth, which results in adequate root development. This is very important. You have this in mind, and also prepare the plant to have a good vegetative development, which will accelerate its development. Not also because the leaves are basically the panel solar of your plant that will take the sun energy to convert into food for your plant. Okay, let's go to the next stage of the plant, and we're talking about the vegetative growth. So, as the name says, you will basically help the plant to have as much as you can of the green color and a very strong stem to support what is coming next about on the stage of the growth. Okay, this is basically to develop the vegetative area of the plant, and in this case you see the sulfur, and the sulfur, remember, this is an essential element in forming proteins, enzymes, vitamins, and chlorophyll into the plant, because it plays an important role with the manganese and nitrogen. Okay, and let's go to the next, which is the flowering. As the name says, basically this application will be focused on flower and fruit setting. And as you know, as you can see, nitrogen is low in this part, and it's because, as you know, nitrogen can basically provoke abortion in the flower if you put too much of it, and that's important to have it because sometimes the formula that you apply to your crops is, for example, 15-15-15 or 20-20-20 or 30-20-10. That will be important to have it. And something that I've missing about this product, as you can see, the pH. Just look at the pH. We have a 6.5 pH and 1.2 EC. Just take that in mind. Remember the slide that I showed you, the pH, the level of the pH is from 6.6 to 6.97, very close to 7. So take that in consideration when you apply it to your plant. The next one is ripening, which is basically the last product of Solufeed line. And basically, this is the fruit formation and ripening. It's basically, you will see the profitability of your activity. In this case, the potassium is high, and also look at the pH is 6.5, and the EC is 1.23, which is really, really, really important to have this balance in your solution. Okay, let's go now. Okay, let's take a picture of this. This is what you will need. For example, 100 kilograms of granules fertilizer. All the contents that you have in terms of the availability of nutrients in this package, you will have it, all of that, with just 25 kilograms of sulfate. And in the picture in the bottom, you can see the solubility of sulfate, which is basically like a clear water. You delete it and you will see the clear water. That means that you don't see like a particle that will not only be available to the soil, but also stuck in your irrigation system. Okay? Let's move to the multi-feed. I'm going to be pretty quick because the time is basically running too fast. The multi-feed are basically were developed according to the specific need of the crop, which provide an optimal level of nutrients in the plant during the entire vegetation period. This will help the plant to basically the available results, to use all available results in the root zone and the soil solution to have a better quality and higher yield in your production. Okay, remember that multi-feed has been designed to satisfy the specific need of each family or group of crop. And I'm gonna just mention pretty quick some of them. And I'm pretty sure many people that have using this line are very happy with the result. And for example, we talk about the solo feed rice. The solo feed rice is a formula designed for rice, and it prevents the budding, benefits a uniform ripening, and increases yield per area. Also improve the grain milling quality. As you can see, all the nutrients that are balanced on this small package, you can see there is nitrogen. You have magnesium, manganese, copper, bottom, molybdenum, potassium, phosphorus, and this is really important. As you can remember, I mentioned before, all the elements are needed in equal. It doesn't matter if the plant absorbs more or less than the other, but all elements are needed to have a fully and a really good expression of genetic potential of the plant. And then we go to the multi-feed coffee. As you can see, this one, when we apply this line to when we apply before the flowering stage, it will help to reduce the abortion of flowers. And this is very important in the coffee plantation, as you all know, and I'm pretty sure the coffee farmers will agree with me. And it enables a more uniform ripening, which is also a key for coffee plantation, because you know the uniformity of ripening will help the farmer to harvest more, I would say, more accurate. Okay, and also enables to increase the yield per hectare. And then we got the banana, multi-feed banana. This product will basically prevent deficiency of microelements and accelerate metabolic processes and facilitates absorption of soil nutrients. This is a really important message of applying foliarly on the bananas. As you can see, banana has basically the high solar power to absorb the nutrients when you apply foliarly. And then we have the brassica. Multi-feed in brassica basically what it prevents deficiency of boron, helping to prevent the empty stem symptom of brassica. As you know, this is a very common deficiency on the brassica. And you have like a very empty thing of the leaves and some of the stem. Increases the unitary weight in fluorescences. That is also very important because sometimes what you get from broccoli, cauliflower is what you the weight of each fluorescence, and also increase the size in this case, for example, the cabbage head. And then we go to the multi-feed cucurbits. I know many farmers in Jamaica are using this product and having a really good result. And when they share their picture of this is what I get from using the Solar Feed program, and I'm very happy with that. And we basically believe this is the finest product in the market. I'm not kidding about that. So, for example, the multi-feeding cucurbit, the stage of application is basically start 10 days after transplantation and during the whole cycle. So you have to keep that in mind and repeat every 8 to 15 days to your crops. And then we have the root vegetables. I know in Jamaica you have a lot of carrots, and that's pretty good to the root vegetable. And when we apply the adequate amount of minor elements during the root filling process, it will be optimized by multi-feed, and this will will give you a uniform size and improved quality of your carrots in this specific case. And the tomato, and I know many tomato growers in Jamaica, and I know this is a very common crop. I mentioned San Elizabeth, and I know many other regions in Jamaica, and this basically stimulate the flowering and the fruit setting. It's increase the yield and also improve the fruit quality. And I remember visiting a farmer in Jamaica, and I said, "Are you using the multi-feed and solo feed program?" "Oh, yes, I'm using it." And I just, "Okay, can you please give me one of your tomatoes?" And I just cut the tomato, and he was amazed to see the how thick the tomato was. And I said, "Oh, this is good. I never seen this before." Well, that's what happened when you apply what the plants need at the moment the plant needs it. So this is a really important point of the solo feed program. Um, and then we have what we call like suspension concentrate, the multi-feed, and you can see the presentation of this is uh, 20 liters and 1 liter presentation. And then we have a leguminous, we have rice, graminate, banana, and corn. So this is a highly percentage of nutrients during the stage of the great demand of each one. Um, and it's not a coincidence that these are basically designed to a bigger presentation, and will go very good in your program, nutrition program in your plant. I'm going to mention it again. I say I have the leguminous, rice, gramine, banana, and corn. Okay, and at the last but not less important, we have the liquid feed. So we have these 8 products that will, as you can see, we have the humic and fulvic acid, amino acids, calcium bottom. We have a potassium phosphate, phosphorus, magnesium, and potassium and zinc. What basically liquid feed was is a formula highly concentrated liquid fixers. So this basically you apply to the plant when you see a deficiency showing up in your plant, and you already know a deficiency. For example, if we see a deficiency of magnesium, that is pretty clear in your leaves. If we see that the fruiting are just cracking and breaking the cell, then you will see, okay, this is a deficiency of zinc and or maybe bottom. And then you apply this plant. It will help to develop their own biological processes, and also is compatible with pesticide and beneficial to the environment due to its organic characteristics. Okay, and we have this the benefit of DuWest nutrition program. We're gonna just mention kind of a summary of what we just talked during this presentation, and we're going to answer the question. Which elements of element limit the production? Well, the good thing about the solo feed program is that all essential elements are included in every package, in every presentation of what we just shown today. And something important, and I know many farmers are requesting, "Oh, you have a 25 kilograms package. Can you make it a small package?" Then I have a good news. We are basically launching the 5 kilogram package of Solub in the core formula of the Solub feed. So you can ask them to your store in the country you are. Okay. And the second question, how much of the nutrients should be applied? Well, that will be basically considered as a specific crop type. As you mentioned, as you saw, every crop has a specific demand of a specific nutrients. So you have to take that in consideration. After your soil analysis, you will see a very good picture of your crop in terms of what the crops need and what is available in your soil. So take a note in that. And during which stage should this nutrient be applied? As I mentioned, it will basically depend on the growth stage. You don't need to apply, for example, too much of nitrogen at the first stage, because it's going to get your plant like crazy growing. but then you reduce the nitrogen, but then you put a lot of phosphorus to build a root system, a strong root system. So take that in consideration as well. And the last question is, how should the nutrients be applied? As you know, the pH NEC plays a key role on having the nutrition available to your plant. And the sulfate program, as you can see, has a very balanced pH NEC in the solution. So this is basically what we want to share to you guys. Thank you very much for being here, staying here. And I'm going to ask the question to see if people were tuned. If you answer correctly, you will be awarded with one giveaway through the H&L Agro on Facebook, on Instagram, or in Zoom. So text the answer of the question, and you will we're going to announce the winner later. Okay. And the question is, let me just pick the question. Hold on a second. Okay. Okay. We have here on the chat a couple of questions we're gonna go through, and then we're gonna announce the question for the giveaway. Okay. Okay, we have a first question here. We basically, they say, what if my soil is more sandy than loamy? What would you recommend for backyard vegetable and herbs garden? Well, as I mentioned before, if you test your soil and you get that your soil is a sandy soil, that basically means that your plants are gonna get dry pretty quick once you water. So I would recommend to split the irrigation and the fertigation as much as you can during the week, and that's something that we always recommend to the gardeners and farmers. Do not apply a lot of your irrigation fertigation at once, because it depends on the texture of your soil that basically will run away. So split the fertigation as much as you can during the week, but also to be specific on the herbs garden. Herbs, as you depend on the herbs you are growing, but herbs are a very bushy plants, and they can maintain the moisture and the humidity between them, and the roots are not very deep, so you need to take that in consideration. Just split the irrigation or the fertigation as much as you can for herbs in your garden, and that will help to the plant to uptake the nutrients in like a section part per part. And we have another question from Andrea Green Brown. What if I mix more liquid nutrient that I really need? Can it be used another time? Well, that's a really good question. And I would say yes, but depends on the time. If you, for example, you mix too much today in the afternoon, if you're applying in the afternoon, I think that will be good to use it on next day. But if you leave it in for a couple of days, then I will be, very cautious on this one. And if you see, it depends also where you save the leftover of your mix. If you put it in, in a very hot environment, but I would say yes, you can use it, but not too long. That definitely will be good. Be careful with crops that are have a very soft leaves, because if you have it in a closed container, very tight closed container, that will burn the leaves. But for solo feed and multi feed, I will not be I will not be. I don't think that will happen with this product in your plant. Okay. Okay. Do we have more question? Let's see. Okay. And the question of the giveaway. Let me just go here. Okay. If you were tuned, I think we have another question. Oh yes, someone is asking if these are safe for bees. Of course, we are talking about fertilization. We're not talking about insecticide. So you're free to go with the nutritional program. They are no harm to the bees. Okay, just to clear that. Okay, you ready for the question? Let me just ask the question. In the presentation, we show the objectives of holistic nutrition. So the question is, which are the 3 objectives of a holistic nutrition? So send the answer on the chat box on Facebook, on Instagram, on Zoom, and the HNL Agro will, announce the winner, and will be a given away of some of the line that we have. I wanted you guys remind that Solufeed is now showing the 5 kilograms presentation. Please ask that to your local store, and I think that will give you more space and be more specific on the mixing if you are a backyard farm, or even if you are a larger scale farm. Okay, do we have more questions? I think we got a couple of minutes left. That's it. No more question? Okay. Okay. Thank you everyone for being here. I we really appreciate all of you being here to talk about plant nutrition. I hope you like this first video. We expect to be in contact with you. If you have any kind of question, you can send the questions to your representative in your country. If you can reach to contact me, many people in the Caribbean knows already that DuWest the team. So don't be afraid to contact us or send the questions through HNL Agro, and we'll be very happy to answer your questions. Okay, and please be aware of next HNL Agro section, and hope you like this one, and we are here to help. Okay, thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.